Hello, grade 8. Welcome back to another social sciences lesson. How are you today? You can see the class is full. That's good. Hello, grade 8. Are you good? Hi, Tyrese. Lucetti, hi, Natalie. Kaylee. Hamhelang, hi. Is it Kuma? Hi. Others? Hello, Cheddar. I'm good. How are you guys today? Okay, so we are continuing with geography. Remember, we started yesterday. So we are continuing today. Okay, so let's do this. Let's recap on what we did yesterday. We looked at maps and atlases. We looked at the following subtopics: latitude and longitude, the degrees and minutes, using the atlas index to find places on a map, kinds of scale in an atlas, the world regional and local scales, the scale. We also looked at hemispheres and also the Earth's rotation on its axis, which gives us day and night. That is what we covered yesterday for the lesson. And then I gave you homework yesterday. Did you do your homework? Did you research? Let's look at question A. Which answer did you get for the definition of grid? What is a grid? Okay, it's fine. If you were not there yesterday, we'll just go through the revision together. Okay, others, which answers did you come up with for the definition for grid? So this is a network of lines that cross each other to form a series of squares. We call it grid. Just correct your work. A network of lines that cross each other to form a series of squares. Let's move on to B, coordinates. These are a set of numbers used to locate a place. So we call them coordinates. A set number of numbers used to locate a place. We go to C, alphanumeric grids. A coordinate system on a grid which is identified by a letter and number, which is identified by a letter and number. That's why we have alpha from alphabet. So it's for the letter, numeric for the number. So we call these grids alphanumeric grids. I hope you're correcting. Okay. Question D. What is an axis? An imaginary line on which Earth rotates. We call it an axis. So it is just an imaginary line on which Earth rotates. Okay. E, rotation, turning around on an axis. Turning around on an axis. Hemispheres, half of the Earth. Half of the Earth. Okay. Now, there's something that I forgot to explain that you just need to know. There's another word called revolution. Here we've got rotation. They are two different words. When it comes to the Earth, rotation means turning around on its axis. So the Earth will be rotating on its axis. Revolution is when it turns, it revolves around another planet. So usually around the sun. It's revolution when it revolves around the sun. So that is the difference. Okay, and then I gave you key terms to research. Number one, time zones. What are time zones? It is a range of longitudes where a common standard time is used. We are going to understand them as we go further in the lesson. And what is international date line? What is international date line? An imaginary line that separates two consecutive days. And what is Earth's revolution? You now see the revolution I was talking about. The movement of Earth around the sun. So it's different from rotation. And then equinoxes, the time when the plane of Earth's equator passes through the center of the sun. More terms. And what is solstice? The time when the sun reaches its highest and lowest point in the sky at noon, marked by the longest and shortest days. So it is said that this solstice, it happens 2 times a year, in March and in September, if I'm not mistaken. And then what is satellite image? These are simply images collected by satellites. So we call them satellite images. And then what are remote sensors? These are tools used to obtain information about objects or areas from a distance. Sorry about that typing error, is from a distance. So those are the terms we were supposed to research yesterday. Okay, now we look at today's topic. We're going to focus on globes and satellite images. And we're going to learn 5 subtopics. Number 1, we're going to look at world time, the time zones, and the international dateline. Number 2, South African Standard Time. Number 3, the Earth's revolution around the sun. Number 4, satellite images. Number 5, what satellite images look like. So that is what we're going to do today. Okay, let's start with world time zones. What are world time zones? So they are 24 standard time zones. You are going to understand on the map that I'm going to show you later. They are 24 standard time zones, which is equal to 24 hours in a day. 24 time zones, 24 hours in a day. They help us to identify the time of other places around the world. So these world time zones, they are very important. Why? For example, if you want to fly from South Africa to Australia, remember Australia is another continent far from us, and yet they've got a different time. They are in a different time zone, different from us. So you have to know the time that you are going to arrive in Australia. It may happen that you leave South Africa from OR Tambo, you take a flight at 7 o'clock in the morning, and you are flying to Australia. Let me just see. Lisedi, okay, just wait for me to finish explaining. Okay, I'm trying to explain world time zones. So I was saying, you are flying to Australia. Your flight leaves at 7 a.m. South African time. Now, you have to research the time that you're going to arrive, because you're going far where there is a different time zone. It's different like when you're flying from Joburg to Cape Town, because Joburg and Cape Town, they are within the same country, so we use the same time zone. Now, it's different when you're flying to another faraway country or to another continent. Now, you leave at 7 a.m. at OR Tambo. It may happen that you arrive in Australia at 7 a.m. Australian time. It may happen that you arrive in Australia 7 a.m. again. But by the time you arrive in Australia, the time will be different in South Africa. You understand now? So that is how world time zones work. They help us to understand the time around the world. Even for businesses, they have to know these world time zones, especially those businesses that operate on international level. So maybe someone who's working for a certain company in South Africa wants to make a call to United States, a company in United States of America. First, he has to find out the time in United States. It might happen that it's not working time, not working hours. Maybe they're sleeping. It's 12 midnight United States. So you have to know the time zones of other places around the world. So that is the importance of knowing world time zones. And then we look at South African Standard Time. South Africa is ahead of Greenwich Meridian by 2 hours. Hence, its time zone is +2. So I'm going to show you on the map, what do we mean by that? What is this +2? Okay. Now, this is a time zone map. We call it a time zone map. So these two I'm sorry about the noise. Okay, so I was saying these two maps, I separated them. There's a reason why I did that. It's one map. You can see here, this one, it comes here. Now I wanted to explain something properly so that you can understand. That's why I separated them. Here you can see Greenwich Meridian. Is this one also? Greenwich Meridian. So if these two pictures were joining, they would look like this here. You can see this part of Africa, it's Greenwich Meridian in the middle. That's where from. Here we have international date line, this side. Did you know that international date line is not straight? Just look at the picture. International date line is not straight. Why is it not straight? But Greenwich Meridian is straight. Why is it that international date line is not straight? For what reasons? Okay, I'll explain, Natalie. Is there anyone who knows? Anyone with an idea why the international date line is not straight? Anyone who knows? Natalie, you can. You can Google, it's fine. I was just asking from your general knowledge. Why is it that the international date line is not straight? Okay. Okay, the reason is because they want to put some areas in the same country to put them in the same time zone. That is the reason. So that the areas in the same country don't have different time zones. Do you understand? Like here you see this is an island. So that's why the shape is like this, so that they can have the same time zone. To avoid any confusion of date, this line is drawn through where the sea lies and not land. Okay, that's very good, Natalie. Thank you for your research. Okay. Now, this map on the right, this is on the east of Greenwich Meridian. This whole part is on the east of Greenwich Meridian. And then on the left, we have the places on the western of Greenwich Meridian. So what does it mean? It means, let's start with the countries on the east. These countries, they are ahead of time than the countries on the west. These continents, these countries, they are behind of time than these countries and continents. So that is how time was developed. But it's God's creation, that the other places is day, the other places is night. So it was not made by anyone. It's only that scientists, they made the research and found out, oh, places on Earth, they've got different times. And then they came up with this theory, time zones, so that you'll be able to understand. So, for example, United States of America is behind of time than Africa, Europe, Russia, Australia. Do you understand grade 8? Hamkhelang. So countries on the left are on 6th July. Yes, Hamkhelang. Some countries, as we speak, today is the 7th. It can happen that in South America or North America, it's still yesterday. It can happen. It depends how far the country is from Greenwich Meridian. So, like Alaska here, it's very far from the Greenwich Meridian. It means maybe still Monday, the 6th of July. Okay, so here we've got South Africa +2 time zone. Now, you can see the examples of time. For example, at the Greenwich Meridian is 12 o'clock here. 12 o'clock, noon, midday. So what is South African time? You just add 2 hours, the +2. And then you get 2 p.m. You can see this in Lagos, Nigeria, it will be 1 p.m. if it is 2 in Cape Town. In Paris, it's 1 p.m. They share the same time zone with Lagos. You can see here, which one in Dubai, it's 4 p.m. and so forth. Moving, Singapore, 8 p.m. So it simply means when it is 2 p.m. in South Africa, it is 8 p.m. in Singapore. You can see in Tokyo, 9 p.m. Sydney is very far, 11 p.m. What about this side? It's behind of time. When it is 2 p.m. here, it's maybe 8 a.m. in New York. That same day. So that is how time zones work. Are we together, grade 8? Any questions so far? Before we move on. Africa is very close to the Greenwich Meridian. Okay, Lisedi. It's very close with 2 hours. Yes. Okay, let's move on. If there are no answers, no questions, sorry. Any question? Okay, this picture is showing the different times around the world. It's an example. So you can see here in South Africa, sorry, in South Africa when it is 2:13 p.m. In India, it will be 5:43. France, 1:13. Mexico, 6:13 a.m. United States, 8:13 a.m. So that is the difference in different time zones around the world. So next time you fly overseas, make sure you find out the time zone of the country you're flying to. Maybe you're going to visit the United States one day, or you're going to go to Europe, or Russia, or Australia. You have to know the time you're going to arrive. Maybe you're going to arrive during midnight. And then what are you going to do? You get stranded on the airport. So you have to know which flight you are going to take before you leave South Africa. That's why we need to know time zones. And then we look at the Earth's revolution around the sun. The Earth moves around the sun in a cycle or orbit. The Earth orbits the sun on an elliptical or oval plane. What do you mean oval? It's not a straight shape like this. This results in different seasons in a year. So the revolution around the sun by the planet, it gives us different seasons: winter, autumn, summer, spring. So it happens when it's rotating around the sun, and we have different seasons. And then we look at satellite images, the images that are taken by satellites. Satellites use remote sensors to gather information about the Earth. They help scientists to study Earth's processes and features. So these are examples of satellite images. So scientists, they know what these pictures tell them, which information does it show. And then we look at the information that is collected from satellite images. This data collected by satellite images include weather forecasts. So when they're checking the weather, they use what? Satellite images. Analysis of pollution. They can also do that to check the pollution that is done on Earth using satellites that are there in the atmosphere there. Earthquakes and volcano damages, and also monitoring areas damaged by fires or deforestation. So all of this information can be collected by satellites. What was the reason for inventing these satellites? Because there are certain areas humans can't reach. So satellites from above there, they can see everything that is happening on Earth. So that's why they were inverted, so that they would help us to give us that information from up above. So what are the uses of satellite images? The data obtained by satellite images is used to monitor climatic patterns. So that's why now we know that this area is for this climate. We learn it in geography. It's because of the information that was collected from, or that is being collected from satellite images. Number 2, find solutions to environmental problems. Now, for example, the satellites help us to give us information like deforestation in a particular area. It can show that maybe in 2010, for example, in South Africa, in Mpumalanga province, there were many trees in a certain area in Mpumalanga province. And in 2020 now, there are fewer trees. What's happening? So when scientists, they collect the information, they collect from those satellite images, now they are able to find solutions. So they have to find out the reason why deforestation is taking place in that area and come up with solutions. So you can see satellites, they help us in giving us useful information. They also observe ocean currents from above. So those are the uses of satellite images. Are we still together? Okay. All right. So that was the lesson for today. Now, these 5 terms, I want you to research. I want you to research on settlement. What is nomadic settlements? Urban settlement, rural settlement, and CBD. Research on those terms. What do they mean? Just understand them. Those 5 terms. Just quickly write them down if you're writing, and then we go to the homework. So when you come for the lesson tomorrow, you must have these terms with you written somewhere, so that when I'm asking you, you just type in your answers. Okay, the homework. Today's homework. Question number 1. State which continents are found in Western Hemisphere and in the Southern Hemisphere. Number 2, identify which continent has the most time zones and which has the least time zones. Number 3, name 3 important lines of latitude and 2 important lines of longitude. Number 4, explain how satellite images help us understand the Earth. Okay, Litla, I will go back. Let me finish with the homework. Question 5, explain what would happen to life on Earth if the Earth did not rotate. So that is your homework from number 1 to 5. Are you done? Can I go back? Others? Okay. Hampelang is done. Lisette is done. Shansa is done. Liz Ain is done. Others? Natalie is done. That's good. Tyrese is done. Daniel is done. Okay. Litla, you wanted to see this. And then, thank you guys. Those are my contact details. Thank you so much. It was nice having you. I'll see you same time tomorrow. Take care. Be safe. Bye.